Dear citizens, ladies and gentlemen, it's so nice to see a large turnout. I listened to the Prime Minister's speeches on the 3rd and 4th of July. I even read it a few times to familiarize myself with what he told Parliament. And as you know, it's one-sided. His younger siblings were not there. So I asked myself, what else can Prime Minister Lee could have mentioned in Parliament? Now let's get the facts straight. We know on 17 December 2013, Mr. Lee Kuan Yew made his will. But don't forget, 2 weeks later, he did a codicil. A codicil is an addendum to the will. When Mr. Lee made the codicil, it was personally done in front of the bodyguard and the secretary. So there's no doubt that Mr. Lee was very clear, very, very clear when he did the codicil, which is an amendment to the 7th will. And 15 months later, he passed away on 23rd March 2015. On 12th of April 2015, the last and the 7th will was read to the whole family. And that's when Prime Minister Lee became very angry, extremely angry, because he saw clause 7 or paragraph 7 was inserted. And paragraph 7 was the demolition clause, not present in the number 6 will, but suddenly appeared in the 7th will. And number 2, Li Wei-ling was mentioned in the will that she is allowed to stay in the house, and something can only be done to the house when she leaves the house. 38 Oxley Road. So he was very angry. According to what we know, and this is from the younger siblings, he stopped talking to them since. He did not invite them for his Chinese New Year reunion. The first Chinese New Year reunion after their father's death. He went to them and he said, I have got Lucien Wong as my lawyer. Now you get your lawyer. That is the behavior of an elder brother when the parents not around. Clearly, they were all in a state of grief. Less than a year after their father's death. Clearly, he ought to have put his feet into his younger siblings' feet and see things from their perspective. And clearly, he could have resolved the problem. But we knew it was not resolved. Do you remember a year ago, Miss Li Wei-ling, Dr. Li Wei-ling said, described the brother as a dishonorable son. So the writing was on the wall. The siblings were not happy with him, but he did not resolve the conflict. Can you imagine during the National Day Rally 2016, here is the Prime Minister telling Singapore what to do, how to progress, and then suddenly he collapsed. In my view, there was nothing physically wrong with him. In my view, he was having unresolved emotional conflict. Conflict, how can my sister call me dishonorable? And how can I face my population and address them? That is the kind of conflict. A conflict is when you are torn apart. Here you speak to the nation, and there you are troubled by an unresolved conflict. Unresolved conflict. His siblings were hoping that something can be done. They actually went, for the 2 years, went to seek help, getting people to mediate for them. Remember, Mr. Lee Kuan Yew has got brothers and sisters. Uncles and aunties could have come in to help. Okay, so it went on. It went on. The conflict was not resolved. But a probate was done. It was in October 2015. A probate is a finalization of the will. And that's final. So the younger siblings thought it's over. Probate done, issue over. And in December 2015, they signed a joint statement agreeing to the final will. Everybody thought it was resolved until in the middle of 2016, the secret committee was formed. The younger siblings could not take it. They were fuming mad. They were angry. Why would our brother do this? Purportedly to study options. You have heard from Kin Lian, you have heard from Leong Hian. Options are to be studied by the National Heritage Board. Options are to be studied by National Heritage Board, not by a committee. And to make the siblings even more angry, the committee was also involved in studying the validity of the will. Whether the will was valid or not. And that made them even more angry. Because if you want to challenge the probate, you challenge in court. You don't challenge in parliament. If our Prime Minister had separated the two issues, issue number one of public concern, abuse of power, allegation of abuse of power, and issue number two, pertaining to the will, which is a family private matter, we would have a lot of transparency, accountability, and clear boundary. Unfortunately, it was not done that way. And during the hearing, 2 days, lasted 2 days. We heard Ho Ching and I discussed the renovation plan with our father. Mr. Lee Kuan Yew met the architect. Mr. Lee also authorized URA forms. So it's as if Mr. Lee Kuan Yew agreed to alternative plan. But Mr. Lee only agreed to alternative plan if option A fails. You remember, will number 7, it so happened para 7 is about how to deal with the house. So para 7A is demolish the house. Para 7B, there's no B there, I'm just creating 7B. 7B means in case the house cannot be demolished due to rules and regulations, then we have options to develop the place. Very clear. 7 option A, 7 option B. Very clear to Lee Kuan Yew. And Lee Kuan Yew make one more point. If it's to be turned into a monument, it is only to be reserved for my family, my children and my descendants. That means we, public, cannot go in. Remember, Mrs. Lee is a very private person. He does not like 38 Oxley to be trampled upon. So it's very clear in our mind, 7A, 7B. And Prime Minister was right when he said, my younger siblings only told you about 7A, clause 7A, demolish the house. They did not tell you about 7B, which is how to renovate and preserve the house. So it's correct. Renovate only when option 7A fails. But it's very factual. The whole account was very factual. How did Mr. Lee Kuan Yew feel about the whole thing? We got it from Lee Wei Ling. Lee Wei Ling said, my father was unhappy with Ho Ching's plan to renovate Oxley. Unhappy. And we remember the Prime Minister say, all the SPH editors were trying to persuade Lee Kuan Yew to preserve the house. Lee Kuan Yew was very distressed, very disturbed. Where did I get these 2 words from? Lee Wei Ling's Facebook. What did Lee Wei Ling do? Lee Wei Ling called up the SPH editors. Stay clear of my father. You are making my father angry and disturbed. So that is the emotional side to the whole thing. Lee Kuan Yew's feelings, Lee Kuan Yew's emotional state, not mentioned in Parliament, but featured in Lee Wei Ling's Facebook. My second point, which I felt the Prime Minister ought to have said, is not about nepotism. It is not about Ho Ching reporting to Lim Boon Heng, reporting to the Finance Minister. It is also about crossing the boundary. You do not come in and take documents away, purportedly under PMO, and then you later on inform the executors of the will, i.e. Sheng Yang and Wei Ling. You don't do that. The proper way is go through the proper procedure. And Li Sheng Yang tabulated the 5 occasions when she did that. So it's not just about nepotism, it is also about crossing the boundary. We need to have clear boundaries. Another point. When PM Lee is not happy with Lau Tia Kiang, he said, Lau Tia Kiang, you're not doing your job as opposition leader. But on the 3rd and 4th, when PM Lee not happy with Lau Tia Kiang, he would say, you're not doing your job. Remember a year or 2 ago? On the 3rd and 4th, suddenly Lau Tia Kiang became very, very popular and relied upon. Prime Minister Lee said, you see, even Lau Tia Kiang say is vague allegations based on scattered evidence of a family displeasure. Wow, vague allegations. Wow, scattered evidence. How can it be? From 14th of June, when the younger sibling published the statement, the 6-page statement, all the way to 2nd of July, 19 days, clear allegation, not vague allegation. Focused evidence, not scattered evidence. Salvo by salvo, salvo by salvo. You know why PM Lee borrowed Lau Tia Kiang's statement? And he said it twice in his 4th of July statement, his speech. I like Lau Tia Kiang. Lau Tia Kiang, you say vague, yeah, you're right. You say scattered evidence, you're right. And because Lau Tia Kiang say it's vague allegation, scattered evidence, therefore no COI. No need for committee of inquiry. No need for special committee. Lau Tia Kiang say so. But that is Lau Tia Kiang's personal opinion. Even if it's Workers' Party opinion, it is not the majority opinion. Right? So I thought Ms. PM Lee should have gathered the majority of the opinion and not Lau Tia Kiang's opinion. I still remember, I'll remember this for the rest of my life. Vague allegation, scattered evidence. Okay, so these are the things which I thought he would have said, but he didn't say. Never mind. I'm going to read to you his last paragraph before he left on the 4th of July. Lee Kuan Yew brought up the family, and I thought we had a happy family, and he lived a long and full life. Little did I expect that after my parents died, this tension would erupt with such grievous consequences. And after so many years, I would be unable to fulfill the role which my father had hoped for. My father had hoped I would. My message to PM Lee: all of us make mistakes. All of us fail. Learn from the mistake. Grow from the mistake. It's like a baptism of fire for PM Lee. Because 13 years, no real challenge. Now is the real challenge from his own siblings. So don't panic. Learn from it, grow from it, mature from it. And remember 13 years ago, PM Lee, remember what you said when you became Prime Minister. Our people should feel free to express diverse views, pursue unconventional ideas, or simply be different. We should have the confidence to engage in robust debate. Ours must be an open and inclusive Singapore. And it came from PM Lee. PM Lee, sir, it is not too late. The baptism of fire will stand you in good state and bring Singapore and Singaporeans forward if you know how to draw the boundary, be transparent, be accountable, and more important, give political space to your people. Thank you.